Hi everyone, my name's Holly Dodds. I work at the Mining Remediation Authority, which is also formerly the Coal Authority. You might have heard of it. If not, it's a government arm's length body responsible for managing the legacy of coal mining across the UK. In my role, I lead communications and stakeholder engagement across key areas. This includes things like environmental resilience, public safety and innovation, and I'm often working closely with communities affected by mining related issues. So today I'm here to talk to you about the community communications that we do. So firstly, let's break down why communication is critical in this sort of work. So point one is building trust before you need it. Pretty obvious. Early engagement means when something goes wrong, people already know and trust you. So it makes responses smoother and it means that people are going to relate to you a bit better. Point two, clear messages save time and reduce confusion. In emergencies, clarity and consistency prevent panic and misinformation, basically. Point three is about listening and how it strengthens long-term resilience. So two-way communication is really key. It helps communities take ownership and adapt. And point four is around communication and how it drives recovery. So what we found is that people rebuild confidence faster when they understand what's happening and why. So communications basically isn't just about telling people something, it's about building relationships and building confidence. Now here we're just going to touch upon a stakeholder engagement tool called the Power Influence Matrix. You might be familiar with this already, but if not, don't worry. It's probably when you're going to be involved in a big project, perhaps involving multiple agencies, that this tool will crop up. It's essentially a stakeholder and communications tool, and we use it to identify and prioritise stakeholders based on their influence and interest levels. So you might have groups such as the local MP, the general public, a particular community group, a charity, local media and so on, and you basically work together to place them into the different areas on the grid to help inform who you're going to communicate with and when. So it just helps you prioritise those stakeholders. This takes me on to my first case study. Now this is a typical subsidence instance that the Mining Remediation Authority often gets involved with. This particular one was in Darwin in Blackburn. It didn't turn out to be coal mining related, but we were involved from the onset as our status as a Category 2 emergency responder. And during these incidents, the number one priority of ours, as with any emergency service, is keeping people safe. So emergency incident response messaging is key to that. Once safety is addressed, we then kind of want to move into building trust and confidence through regular and transparent updates. The challenge on this one was working with so many different stakeholder groups, so many different partners, and they were all trying to kind of protect themselves. So nobody wanted to step into the ownership space, and it took a lot of kind of different members of our organisation communicating with different members of others' organisations on their own levels to kind of come together and create a better response for the communities. And the challenge, sudden ground collapse, it caused local fear and speculation. People wanted answers and people wanted them fast, and we just couldn't give it them until we'd done a proper investigation and a proper report. But what we did, we worked closely with the council, police and housing associations to align these updates, when we'd had those conversations, and this really helped us share clear, consistent messaging on safety and next steps, always avoiding jargon obviously, having like a face-to-face presence in the community, knocking on doors, running kind of community drop-ins, providing reassurance and answering questions wherever we could. So lessons learned, obviously I've already touched upon them, but speed and honesty, matter a lot to people during these incidents, possibly more than polished wording, getting, that clear sign off and really finessing that wording and it taking a while. And people value timely, truthful updates. Yeah, basically over perfect phrasing. So how do we communicate with people during these incidents? Obviously, we've said incidents, during those times people want to see speed and accuracy, so that's kind of critical when it comes to updates, but so is empathy. And to help us with this, we obviously use a number of tools that you'll already know about. Social media, which is obviously great for fast updates and myth busting, but it's also important to monitor comments and respond really quickly as well. So you can't just dump a post on and then just go, because people will probably be commenting and asking more questions. House-to-house contact, personal reassurance matters, especially for vulnerable residents. Media relations, so this is a good, obviously, tool for essential, thing for reaching out to people who aren't online. But it's also about providing clear, factual statements, and it helps boost your organisation's reputation as well when you're communicating well with local media. And partner comms, easier said than done sometimes, but working with local authorities and emergency services to keep messaging consistent is another key area as well. Resident letters and online pages, so we always kind of provide written reassurance for those who preferred something tangible. And lastly, community meetings and feedback. Listening as much as you speak. People need to feel heard in a crisis. And that basically sums up the tools that we'd use in those incidents. But this mix of channels, we kind of feel, ensures that no one is left behind and covers everyone off. Just a little note about GDPR. So obviously you will have heard of GDPR. It controls how people's information is used by organisations. But for us, this can affect things like storing names and addresses, asking people to sign up to mailing lists. I won't go into this too heavily, but your comms team will know how to work with this, and you can always get advice from the records or information security experts at your company. On to my second case study today. So this one focuses on a mine water treatment scheme, and this is a major part of what our organisation does. We have more than 80 mine water treatment schemes across the country, and there are more being built this year. This particular one is in Dalkeith in Scotland, and as you can see, it's in a heavily residential area, which means we were really concerned about how residents were going to respond to the disruption. But the key here has been explaining what the problem is and why the work needs to be done. So really taking residents on the journey with us and encouraging their support, and they have been, luckily so far, really on board. We did this via a number of ways, but one of them was, building relationships really early on with local leaders, local interest groups, creating trust, the local MP. We also created simple visual explainers showing how the work benefits them, so making that technical information accessible to all, and using hyperlocal channels as well, like Facebook groups and Nextdoor for updates, really key for our audiences. We'd also attend staffed events so people can ask questions face to face. We found obviously that being visible and being human matters. I'd say the lessons learnt here were, giving people time, allowing them a voice, allowing them to listen and communicate both ways. These projects going through without planning objections can save us millions and millions of pounds. So ultimately that kind of theme around being visible and being human, earning trust over time, has been really important to us. Now this slide outlines the 4 stages of our communication approach during resilience work. Prepare, so understand your audience, their concerns and preferred channels. Preparation means stakeholders and planning, mapping out messaging, kind of forming communication strategies, and trying to do this before an incident if possible. Respond. Communicate early, often and honestly. In a crisis, silence creates uncertainty, so if you don't have all of the answers, share what you know. Recover. Maintain visibility and keep people informed post-incident. Recovery isn't just physical, it's about restoring confidence. Review. So always a really useful thing to do is to evaluate your comms. Evaluate what worked and what didn't. Learn from feedback and adapt for next time. And some of our core principles which underpin everything that we do when it comes to community communications, these link to our organisational values as well. So we've got transparency, consistency, active listening and collaboration. We always say these are non-negotiable. Now, content isn't just about what you say, it's how you say it. So using strong visuals, photos, infographics and short videos grab attention and make complex info easier to understand. Really important in this day and age when people have obviously got low attention spans, especially when it comes to flicking through things online. Keeping language simple, avoid jargon, people need clarity, not technical terms. Being open and authentic. If you don't know something, say so. Hiding uncertainty, it erodes trust basically. And finally, evaluate reach and feedback, as we've said before. After the event, check what resonated, check what didn't, learn and adapt for next time. Good contact basically builds trust and makes your message stick. So here are some top tips for resilience planners, practical actions hopefully that you can help to use to strengthen communications and resilience planning. Build community relationships before an incident. Don't wait for a crisis. Trust takes time to build. Now you might be questioning like how the hell do you do this? You don't know where the incident's going to take place, but we do simulation exercises a lot at our organisation, so we prepare a lot for the incidents that we know are likely to happen here, and within this we kind of create plans, we create key messages, and we've got templates ready to go kind of when those incidents happen. Work closely with your comms team, so plan together from the start, not after the event. Comms should be part of the strategy, and there's some data out there that kind of says the earlier the comms team is involved in a project, the more successful it will be, and that's guaranteed. Use real staff voices and plain English. People love to see our staff talking about what they do, the people on the ground in high-vis jackets, you know, the real people that people can relate to. And that's kind of the most content that gets the most engagement on our channels. But yeah, so just with that, avoiding jargon, people need clarity and authenticity as well. Diversify channels. So obviously we've mentioned we use an array of different channels, digital, print, face-to-face. Not everyone is online, so you do have to mix it up a bit. Communicate even when there's no news. Silence creates uncertainty, and people are just going to jump to fill that void. Even a no update message can reassure people, just checking in and letting them know that you'll get back to them when they can. And finally, reflect and learn after every event. Capture your lessons learned and use them basically, build meetings around them to help improve things for next time. And that's it basically, very whistle-stop tour, but hopefully these methods will, they'll be part of a more in-depth comms and stakeholder engagement plans that will be documented and evaluated throughout for continuous iteration, but hopefully it gives you a flavour of what can be done. And thanks for having me along. Please do let Amanda know if you have any questions at all. You're obviously welcome to email me about anything further. All the best, take care.